Hi everyone, it's Christine here from Ever After Paper Crafts, and I am so excited to get to share with you today a brand new release from Your Next Stamp. I was lucky enough to be asked to be a guest designer for this month, and so they sent me some of the new release that's coming out today. Today is May 6th is when this video is being posted, and the new release will go live tonight, May 6th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I've got a couple new sets to show you, and I'm going to go through a card that I did with you. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the first set that I'm going to show you, and this is the one I'm actually going to be creating the card with today. It is so super cute. It's got all of these little penguins, and it's sort of a fortune-telling type of set, and some of the sentiments are birthday fortune, best day ever, or this year will be amazing just like you, etc. So this one was so super cute and fun to work with, and this is a card that I created using this set. It's a very simple card, but it's really fun, and so I just thought maybe we can make this card together, and then I'll show you the rest of the release. I've made 4 cards total for this release, so this is the first one. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I did first was to make my card base, I just simply took a piece of Neenah cardstock at 110 weight, just cut it right in half at 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and that is a good solid card base. Neenah's my favorite for good solid card bases. So that's done. We're going to set that to the side. The next thing that I did is I took a piece of Bristol white cardstock. Now Bristol cardstock is made from Strathmore, and it comes in a big package like this. So it's kind of got this chair on the front cover of it. You can get this at Michael's. You can also get it at Amazon. I got mine on Amazon. And the reason why I'm going to use the Bristol Smooth is because it is my favorite paper for A, the distress inking technique that you see right here, and also B, for the coloring, which I did with my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. So I like to use Bristol Smooth for both of these techniques. So what I did was I first cut this rectangle out using a stitched rectangular die from Lawn Fawn, and it's the die that I use is the largest in the small rectangle stitched rectangle set. So it's the largest one in this set. It's this one right here. So I already went ahead and did that off camera, so we didn't have to waste time with that. So this is what the stitched rectangle looks like. So I'm just going to set this down. I'm going to get a piece of scratch paper. And this is just some grid paper from Stampin' Up! And you can see I've already kind of used it, so please excuse the mess on it. So, and the reason that I use this is because when I do my distress inking, I like to start off the paper in a circular motion and then make my way onto the paper. That will reduce the look of those kind of circular splotches from your ink blending tool. So the first distress ink that I'm going to use is this one. It's called Picked Raspberry, and I keep my little circular what do you call them, sponge, oh my gosh, my mind just went blank, ink blending pads on the bottoms. They fit perfectly on the bottom of these cubes. So I'm going to open the little ink cube, and I'm just going to ink up my little sponge here. So what I was talking about is I'm just going to turn it this way because I'm just going to ink just a little bit here in the corner. So I'm going to start off the paper in a circular motion and come onto the paper, still going in a circular motion. So I'm going to do that again, so it's a little bit brighter. Again, starting off the paper and going in a circular motion. And again, I'm just kind of inking this little right corner right here. So then I'm going to remove the Picked Raspberry sponge, stick that there, put that back in its little container. And the only other color I'm going to use is Spiced Marmalade. So we're going to remove the cap on this one and grab this ink sponge on the bottom of that. We're going to ink this up. We're going to start off the paper, and we're going to kind of go in right above where this pink is, and we're just going to blend these two colors together. And we're going to need a little bit more of the orange ink than we did the pink because it is a slightly lighter color. So in order to get that nice blend, we're going to have to go back in a circular motion. Now, see how I did it a little bit too much and there's only a little bit of pink showing? No big deal. All we're going to do to fix that is we're going to take the orange back off again, put the Spiced Marmalade away, pick up again that picked raspberry. Put that sponge back on, and we can just add this color back in. That is what is so brilliant about these distress inks. You can't mess up. You honestly can't, because you can always go back in and add more color, and they just blend beautifully. So let me just pick up a little bit more pink ink here. And there you go. How pretty is that? So it's a very nice blend of the pink and the orange. I'm gonna blend it a little bit more up top here. There we go. Okay, so that's about how I like it. Let me just fix my fingerprints here. Usually, another good tip when you're working with distress inks is your fingerprints will react. The distress ink will react to your fingerprints. So I will often use a Post-it note to kind of put on the paper as I'm inking to go around, and that will save it from my fingerprints. But as you saw just there, I was able to quickly fix it by just rubbing the distress ink again in a circular motion, and it covered my fingerprints right up. So let me quickly go ahead and put this distress ink away and the blending tool. We are done with that for this card. And now I'm going to grab my distress sprayer. Now, can you use any water bottle? Yes, you can. The reason why I like to use a distress sprayer is because if you do half a pump, so instead of holding this down all the way back, if you just hold it down halfway, little droplets come out, which is perfect for distress ink. Distress ink is kind of its own brand of ink. It really is perfect for certain techniques. One of the great things about distress inks is that it reacts to water. So you'll be able to see here when I spray this, and I'm just going to go about halfway, and I'm going to spray it just a couple times, and then I'm going to let it sit there for about 20 seconds, and then I'm going to take a piece of paper towel, and I'm going to dab it against the paper, and it's going to give it a very distressed, fun look. So that's one of the great techniques that distress inks are great for. So I love that, and this, as you can see from the original card, very similar, but each time you do it, it's going to look a little different too, which is also kind of cool. So this is, you can compare the original card to what we just did on camera. So very cool. Love that water technique with distress inks. So let's set this panel aside to dry. And now I have a strip here of just a strip from a prior project of that Bristol Smooth cardstock. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring the stamp set over, and we are going to grab the two stamps that we are going to need to complete this card. And one of them is the little penguin with the crystal globe and his little table that he sits at. Okay, so we are going to put these on some acrylic blocks and go ahead and stamp these down. And I'm going to show you real quickly how I watercolored these with the Real Brush Zig markers. So the ink that I like to use for watercoloring is Hero Arts Black Dye ink. It gives you a really nice black ink, but it's also perfect for watercolor technique. So let me go ahead and ink up our little waddles. This is the little penguin guy, and he is oh so cute. So there he is. And now let me ink up the little fortune-telling table and put that down. And these stamps are wonderful. They're photopolymer, they're clear, so you can see exactly where you're stamping. And they stamp perfectly. Love them. Great quality photopolymer stamps. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you just a little bit about how I do some coloring with the Zig Clear Brush markers. So this is what they look like. You can get them in packs of 12, 36, 80, and I'm not sure if there's any other numbered packs or not, but the great thing about these is you can also buy them individually. So to color the table, let me bring the original card back over. So here's the original card. For the table, I used these three color inks, which are light pink, pink, and bright pink, or maybe it's dark, I'm sorry, dark pink. So light pink, pink, and dark pink were used to color the table. I used only black to color the body of the penguin, and then I used orange for his beak. I did a little light pink on his belly, His hat is a little purple, and his feather is just a little bit of an aqua color. And the way that you can do this, you can work with Zig markers in two different ways. You can blend them together like you kind of do with Copics, except it's a little bit of a different look. Or you can take a water brush like this, kind of like if you've ever been with Stampin' Up! And they're aqua painters, same idea. Water is contained in this tube. You open this up and water flows out of the tip of this. Or if you don't have a water brush like this, you can simply get a cup of water and a paintbrush and use that to help the color of the marker spread. So those are the two different ways. And on this particular card right here, I used some water to help me get the shading that I wanted with these particular markers. So let me show you what I mean. So for the penguin, and here's a tip too, when you're using the black colored Zig marker, it is black, and the water makes this marker move very what's the word I'm looking for, very quickly. So sometimes it'll go out of the lines a little bit, so be very careful when you're working with the black marker and you just want to use a tiny little bit of water from your pen. So I just put a little bit of dark like right up here under his hat, and I put a little bit down here in his arm, just kind of where I think there might be a little bit of shading. And then maybe just a little bit over here, and I'm going to cap it. So I kind of do like half the image at a time depending on how large the image is. And then I'm going to take my water brush pen and I'm going to bring my paper towel back over. And then what I'm going to do is the water, as you can probably see, is moving this color. And in between coloring, I'm going to mark, put a little bit of the color, wipe a little bit of the color off on my paper towel. Now, I'm not concerned about staying within the lines on this one because I'm going to fussy cut these images, so it's not a huge deal to me. So I'm not really too worried about that with this particular image. But you want to definitely, be careful of that if you're not going to be fussy cutting. So now you can see that I've kind of done half the image here. And so there's a little bit of shadow there with some light and darker black tone to it. So now I'm going to come over here and do the other side of the penguin. And I'm just going to put a little bit more of the black under his hat here, and then his arm right here, and kind of a little bit up here as well. So I'm kind of imagining that the light is hitting him square on, so that there's going to be a little bit of darkness on each side of his arms, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this new color we just put down around here. And I'm just doing it in a circular motion, much like when I work with Copics. I just kind of have that ingrained in me with all the Copic coloring I've done in my crafting life. So I can just have continued that in working with the Zigs, and it works for me. But, use whatever works for you. But I don't really paint with this. It's like a painting brush motion. It's more just a circular coloring to pull that color out. So really, I guess in other words, to try to explain this better, what I'm doing is I have the dark lines down, and then I'm pulling that dark color out into the rest of the image, and in doing so you're getting lighter shades or gradients of that color, and that's what gives you your shading. So let me pull him up to the camera so you can see. There you can see he's got dark and light shading in him. Okay, so I'm not going to finish him because what I've already done is off camera I colored them again just to save some time. I'm not going to finish him. I'm just going to quickly show you the table. And for the table, in my finish card, I actually did use some water to pull it off, but I'm going to show you on camera how to do it without using water. So again, this is going to be, you can liken this sort of to how you would color with Copic markers, but again, these have a water base to them. So it's a little bit different. The pens feel a little bit different. The ink feels a little bit different, but it's the same kind of idea. So I'm just going to color the top here of this table. So I'm imagining again that the light's kind of coming from the middle. I don't know. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not an artist. So I don't worry too much about the light. All I want is to see that there's a gradients in the lighting, so that there are different shades to to the image. So I started with the dark pink. When working with zigs, I always like to start dark and work my way out to lighter colors. So I started with the dark pink, then I came in with the pink and pulled the color out. Now I'm coming in with the light pink and finishing it. And I'm just pulling the color out. And a great thing about these is you don't have to worry, like with other watercolor type of markers, you may damage the tips if you touch like the lighter color, for instance, to the darker color, but that's not going to happen with the zigs. You're not gonna hurt the tip of the light pink marker by going in and pulling out that dark pink coloring to blend it. So this is what it would look like without water. And so that's sort of the top of the table, and you can see there's definite shading there. So it's pretty cool. I really, I'm just beginning to play with these markers, but my first impressions are love, love, love. I love them, and they are definitely cheaper than Copics. They will never replace my Copics. I will always use Copics and have Copics in my craft room, but I do love these two. They're a great addition to your craft room, especially if you like that watercolor look. So let me pull over the ones that I did off camera, just so we can complete this card really quick. So I did these off camera and colored them with the zigs and some water. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this part of my card here. So what I did is I'm just going to adhere the table with pop dots or dimensionals, whatever you have, foam tape, whatever you have that would make it kind of pop out. We're going to place him above on the table, so that he's kind of dimensional as well. And then, as you can see from the final card, or the card that I made and showed at the beginning of the video, I put the sentiment right on this panel. Then, if you see these dots here, these are so cool. These are Your Next Stamp gumdrops. Now, this is the packaging that they come in. As you can see, I've used all the clear and all the pink, so I only have the green, purple, and blue to show you, unfortunately. But you'll see the other cards I made in a moment. These are gorgeous. They are so, I hope the camera is picking up how shiny and beautiful these are. They are great. They don't add a lot of bulk to your cards, so they'll go through the mail just fine. And as you can see, I used the pink ones on this final card, and they just add so much to the card. And like you can see there, they're really not super dimensional, so they don't really add a lot of bulk to your card. And then just to finish this card off, I added a piece of baker's twine, pink and white striped, which I just got in a pack at Michael's, to the top of the card. And so again, here's the finished card. So I won't take the time to kind of put the card together. You get the idea. I just really wanted to show you the distress marker technique and to go over a little bit about the Zig markers. They are just fabulous, and I do recommend them. I will have more videos coming up where I go more into detail about the Zig markers, and I also have detailed Copic coloring markers, just so you can kind of get a feel as to what you might like to have in your craft room. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside now, and I'm going to show you the other stamp sets that are part of this new release that I received. There are more than I have to show you, but this is what I have, and they are just wonderful. So this is a fun one. This is kind of like a background set. This is called Mud Splatter. And it's got this big kind of splatter with some hearts in it, tire tracks, and a road. And these are great for putting backgrounds on your cards. Just fabulous. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just hit the camera. Okay. And then this is the other set. And this one is called Got Mud. And it's monster trucks with really cool sentiments. One that says Got Mud. One that says thanks. Your birthday is finally here. Or way to go. You crushed it. So just super cute stamp set. My 4-year-old is in love with it and has already claimed the 2 cards that I'm going to show you next. So let's go ahead and get to those cards. Let me get this paper towel out of the way. Somehow it keeps migrating back into my workspace here. Okay. So here is a card that I made using some more of the Distress ink technique, as well as the monster trucks from the Got Mud stamp set. What I did here is I created a hilly kind of base to the card, to the little panel. Using these are the stitched hillsides from Lawn Fawn dies, and this was white. This was all cut out in white, and I used my brown distress inks and some water spray, like I showed you earlier when making the card, to create that kind of distress technique there on the bottom. And then I sponged blue distress ink to the top and did the same thing. So you've got some splotches in the sky as well. Then I colored the trucks with the Zig markers, cut them out, and placed them with dimensionals. And then the sentiment I stamped with Versamark ink onto, let me think, that is chocolate chip actually, Stampin' Up! Cardstock, not distressed, rather, embossed it with white embossing powder. And then I just cut a little tab into it to get that look. And then here's some of the blue gumdrops, and here's the clear. Those are what the clear look like. This little mud, these mud splotches, that I used this little stamp right here from this set. So this one my 4-year-old has claimed. Oh, and finally I added just a little baker's twine to the top, and I did a little bit of decorating on the inside with that little mud. Nothing fancy, just some of the mud splotch there. So that's that card. I made one more card using a combination of these two stamp sets, and that's this one. And my 4-year-old has claimed this one too. So this one I just used some stitch circle dies, and you can see the stitching around them. These are just happen to be from Stampin' Up!, but you could use whatever dies you have in your stash. I created a background using this image from the Mud Splatter brand new stamp set from Your Next Stamp. So I just inked that with chocolate chip ink and placed it on my brown card base. I did some distressing with, oops, I'm sorry, I was off camera. I did some distressing for the sky and the mud. I colored the chalk again with the zigs, cut it out, popped it up with dimensionals, and here's the card. And there's some more of those clear gumdrops you can see there. And then that's a good look at the Got Mud white embossed sentiment. So those are the two that I made with the trucks. Again, here's the one that we kind of sort of made together a little bit. I showed you some techniques on that. And then here is the final stamp set, or card rather, that I did using this adorable fortune teller stamp set. And the full name of this one, by the way, I don't think I said, is Waddle's Fortune Teller. And it's so super cute. So this is the other card that I made using this stamp set. I did distress inking on the back with the water spray technique again. I used, let me think, I used 3 colors on this one. I used Picked Raspberry, I used Spiced Marmalade, and Mustard Seed are the 3 distress inks that I used on this. I cut the panel out using that same stitched rectangle die from Lawn Fawn. I then used a scallop rectangle in Melon Mambo ink to put behind it. Some pink and white baker's twine. Here's those pink gumdrops. And then, of course, the images. I used this adorable curtain and pillow stamp for the background and cut it out with a stitched circle die. And then I cut those 2 penguins out that are holding hands, colored everything with the zig markers, and then I white heat embossed the sentiment, which says birthday fortune, best day ever. And it's kind of hard to see on camera, but I also put a lot of Wink of Stella on the curtain, so it's really shimmery in real life as well as on the crystal globe. So these are the 4 cards that I created with these brand new stamp sets from Your Next Stamp. I definitely encourage you to check out this release. If you go by my blog, you'll be able to see the blog hop and all of the design team members that are participating in all of their fabulous creations. And you will also be able to see all of the rest of the items that are being released in this month's release, and participate in the blog hop and maybe even win some stuff. So thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry this video was long. I just kind of wanted to go over a few of those techniques with you and then show you all the cards I made using these adorable new stamp sets. So thank you so much for taking your time out with me today and for watching. And if you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. I would love that. And please stop by Your Next Stamp. They have fabulous stamps, adorable images, and it's just a great company to work for. So thank you so much for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.